Simone Sterling nervously adjusted her hair as she glanced at the departure board at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Their flight to Phuket was delayed by 30 minutes, but that didn't concern her. The main priority was ensuring the surprise went off perfectly. Ronnie, her husband, would turn 45 in 3 days, and Simone had decided to arrive early. She pictured the look on his face when he saw her and Aliyah waiting at the doorway of the rented villa. "Mom, are you sure Dad will be happy?" asked 15-year-old Aliyah, eyes still fixed on her laptop. The girl was serious for her age, with a sharp mind and remarkable programming skills. "Of course, baby," Simone replied, smiling. "Daddy will be thrilled. He missed us so much on his business trip." Aliyah nodded, though a fleeting look of unease crossed her eyes. Simone didn't notice, too absorbed in imagining their reunion. After 18 years of marriage, the excitement of seeing Ronnie still made her heart race like a teenager's. Ronnie Sterling was a commanding presence, tall, athletic, with piercing gray eyes and a warm smile. His luxury residential construction company, Sterling and Associates, had flourished for a decade, building high-end custom homes for Atlanta families. Clients trusted him not only for his expertise, but also for his reputation as a devoted family man. In interviews, he often emphasized the importance of family, sharing photos of Simone and Aliyah. "Family is the foundation of everything," he told journalists. "Without a solid home life, you can't build a successful business. My wife Simone is my rock, and my daughter Aliyah is the meaning of my life." Simone had believed every word. They met at a contemporary art exhibition. She was studying literature, and he was already a successful engineer. After their wedding 18 years ago, she devoted herself to their family, giving birth to Aliyah, managing the household, and assisting with the business by reviewing paperwork and liaising with clients. "Attention passengers on flight DL242 to Phuket," boomed the announcement over the loudspeaker. "Boarding is now beginning." Simone took Aliyah's hand and they walked toward the gate. Hidden in her purse was Ronnie's gift, a Rolex Submariner. She had spotted him admiring it in a jewelry store months ago, and when he had sighed, maybe someday, she had made it her mission. The watch had cost $20,000, almost all of her personal savings, accumulated over 3 years. But for her husband's happiness, she considered it worth every penny. Aliyah followed silently. In recent months, the girl had grown even more reserved. Simone assumed it was typical adolescence, though sometimes she caught her daughter's intense, calculating glances. Aliyah truly was exceptional. By 12, she was creating simple websites. At 13, she mastered programming basics. By 14, she was studying data analysis. Her teachers described her as brilliant in math and computer science. She excelled in coding competitions but remained modest, never seeking attention. The flight felt endless, 12 hours with a layover in Doha. Aliyah spent most of the time on her laptop, coding and studying graphs. Simone attempted to peek at the screen several times, but her daughter subtly angled it away. "What are you working on, sweetie?" Simone asked. "Preparing a gift for Dad," Aliyah replied without looking up. "A surprise. What kind of gift?" "You'll see, Mom. I think it'll be very educational." There was a chill in her voice that made Simone uneasy, but turbulence soon distracted her thoughts. She slept, dreaming of their week together on the tropical island, walks along the beach, candlelit dinners, swimming in the ocean. Their last vacation together had been 2 years ago in Miami Beach. Since then, Ronnie's schedule had been dominated by work and client meetings. "Once I finish this project, we'll go somewhere," he had promised, though new projects always arose. As the plane descended over Phuket, Aliyah spoke softly. "Mom, are you sure you know the villa address?" "Of course, honey," Simone replied. "Dad sent photos and a detailed map. It's a beautiful spot right by the ocean. He said he rented it especially for our family vacation." Aliyah pressed a few keys on her laptop and slowly closed it. Her expression was a strange mix of determination and sadness. "Mom, no matter what happens, please remember that I love you very much," she said unexpectedly. "Aliyah, those are unusual words. What's going on?" Simone asked. Nothing, Mom, Aaliyah replied softly. The taxi ride from the airport to the villa lasted about an hour. Their driver, a friendly Thai man named Sonai, spoke in English about local sites, pointing out temples and markets. Simone admired the scenery, palm trees, exotic architecture, humid air scented with flowers and spices. It was her first visit to Asia, and everything seemed new and vibrant. Aaliyah remained quiet, checking her phone from time to time, dismissing notifications quickly. "Ma'am, your husband is a very good man," Sonai said in English. "He's been renting this villa for a week. I brought him here." Aaliyah tensed, her gaze fixed on the driver. Simone didn't understand the conversation but sensed her daughter's unease. "What did you talk about?" she asked. "Nothing important, Mom," Aaliyah replied. "Just local customs. The villa exceeded their expectations. A 2-story building with white walls, a red-tiled roof, and lush tropical greenery surrounded them. Palm trees, hibiscus, and orchids framed a sparkling pool, with the ocean just beyond. Simone felt a surge of happiness. Ronnie had chosen a truly romantic spot. "Daddy's going to be so happy to see us," she whispered. "Yes, Mom," Aaliyah replied softly. "He'll definitely be surprised." Inside, the villa was tastefully furnished. Teak wood furniture, silk curtains, and local artwork. Jasmine scented the air, mingling faintly with a man's cologne, Ronnie's favorite. On the coffee table were documents in English and Thai, tourist brochures, island maps, and 2 empty wine glasses beside a bottle of Moet and Chandon. "Looks like Dad had clients over," Simone said, gathering the glasses. "You know how he likes to impress them." Aaliyah remained silent, pressing her lips together. The house was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning and the sound of waves outside. Simone walked to the second floor where the master bedroom was. Aaliyah followed, clutching her phone. On the staircase, women's red high-heeled shoes caught Simone's eye. Size 7, Italian-made, but far from her own size. "That's strange," she murmured. "Where did these come from?" "Mom," Aaliyah said softly. "Maybe you shouldn't go up there." "Why? What's wrong?" "I think we should call Dad first and let him know we arrived." Simone, already at the top of the stairs, paused. In the hallway were more items. A silk blouse for a woman and men's jeans she recognized as Ronnie's. Her heart raced. The master bedroom door was ajar. Simone pushed it open and froze. On the massive white bed, Ronnie slept, his torso bare, hair tousled. Beside him, in sea-green silk pajamas, sat a woman with dark hair, her sister, Cararissa. Time stopped. 18 years of marriage, trust, and shared dreams collapsed instantly. Cararissa's face mirrored horror. "Sim," she whispered, stunned. Ronnie awoke, sitting up in shock. Words failed him. "Mom, let's go," Aaliyah said softly, taking Simone's hand. "We don't belong here anymore." Simone couldn't move. Memories of family holidays, shared laughter, and Cararissa's comforting presence flashed through her mind. "Sim, this isn't what you think," Ronnie began, pulling the sheet over himself. "We can explain everything." "Explain? How my sister ended up in bed with my husband." Simone's voice was hoarse. "Sim, I'm sorry," Cararissa cried. "It just happened. We didn't plan it. Just happened?" Simone's fury surged. "You flew to Thailand by chance? You ended up in this bed by chance?" "Mom," Aaliyah interjected firmly. "We have to leave now." Simone turned and walked quickly toward the exit, Aaliyah at her side. They left the villa and Simone called a taxi, voice breaking. In the car, she wept silently while Aaliyah held her, stroking her hair with quiet resolve. At the hotel, Simone still couldn't comprehend the betrayal. She sat on the bed, staring into space, her life of trust and shared dreams shattered. Aaliyah sat beside her, calmly working on her laptop. Programs, graphs, and tables flashed across the screen, her focus unwavering. "Aaliyah, what did you mean when you said you'd already punished Dad?" Simone asked, wiping her tears. Her daughter looked up from the laptop with a determination that startled her mother. The 15-year-old seemed like an experienced investigator, ready to present her case. Mom, I've known about their relationship for a while, Aaliyah said softly. Grandpa Paul taught me programming and data analysis. For the last 2 months, I've been gathering evidence of Dad's infidelity. Simone sat up, barely believing what she was hearing. You knew what? She asked. I noticed strange patterns in Dad and Aunt Carissa's behavior. He became secretive, avoided family gatherings, and I accidentally saw suspicious messages and overheard conversations. Aaliyah turned the laptop toward her mother. The screen displayed a complex program with multiple graphs, maps, and diagrams. Do you know how modern technology works? Aaliyah asked. People constantly leave digital footprints online. Every post, photo, or location check-in creates a pattern of their life. What are you getting at? Simone asked, trembling. Aaliyah opened the first section of her analysis. Grandpa taught me how to create programs that collect and analyze public information. Completely legal. I studied Dad and Aunt Carissa's digital activity over the past 4 months. A map of Atlanta appeared, marked with colored dots. See the red dots? Those are places Dad checked in. Blue dots are Aunt Carissa. Green dots are where they were at the same time. Simone stared in horror. The green dots were everywhere. Restaurants, cafes, shopping centers, even the gym. That's not all, Aaliyah continued. Here's a time-based analysis of their online activity. Dad claimed he was working late, but his posts weren't from the office. Aunt Carissa said she was at the gym, but her geolocation showed cafes and restaurants. Shame and hurt burned within Simone. Everyone could have seen her husband cheating, and she had been blind. Here's the most revealing part, Aaliyah said, opening another window. Their social media interactions. They liked each other's posts within minutes, commented with hidden messages, and posted photos from the same locations just minutes apart. All publicly visible. Yes, Mom, Aaliyah said. They thought if they didn't take selfies together, no one would notice. But digital forensics is precise. Every meeting, hint, and interaction can be reconstructed from their digital traces. She displayed more graphs, message frequency, correlation of moods by post tone, and statistics of shared locations. Math doesn't lie. Mom, the probability they met by chance is less than 0.001%. It's statistically proven. Simone shook her head. Her daughter had become a detective using technology she hadn't even imagined. Aaliyah, what will you do with this information? Her daughter opened another program, a system for creating presentations and automated email distribution. I've compiled a detailed analytical report of their secret relationship, with graphs, statistics, and maps. Tomorrow morning, it will be sent to all their friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. Aaliyah, you can't! Simone gasped. I'm not stealing information or hacking accounts, Mom, Aaliyah explained. I'm only systematizing what they published publicly. It's like journalistic research, but using big data and machine learning. Simone was silent. Part of her was horrified by her daughter's plan. Another part, burning with humiliation and betrayal, understood its justice. How exactly will you do it? She asked. Aaliyah smiled, calm and cold. I have an automated distribution program set for 8 a.m. Atlanta time. When everyone checks their email before work, they'll receive the analysis. And how did you get those contacts? Simone asked. Most social media friend lists are public. I created a crawler program to collect the information and form a database. Everything is legal and ethical. Aaliyah showed Simone the final report, a professionally crafted, 30-page document titled Digital Analysis of Covert Social Connections, a case study in familial betrayal. The introduction explained the methodology. Sections followed on geolocation analysis, temporal activity correlation, social interactions, communication tone, and statistical conclusions. Appendices included original data and programming code. This is a real scientific paper, Simone said, astonished. Grandpa taught me that serious claims must be backed by data, Aaliyah said. I'm not accusing Dad and Aunt Carissa of infidelity. I'm providing facts and letting people draw their own conclusions. Simone shook her head. Her 15-year-old was planning a technological exposé with the precision of a scientist. Aaliyah, are you sure? He's your father. Biological relation doesn't excuse betrayal, Mom, Aaliyah said firmly. Ronnie made his choice. Now he faces the consequences. Simone hugged her daughter. In that moment, she realized Aaliyah had long since stopped being a child. The father's betrayal had forced her to grow strong and independent. What happens next? Simone asked. Next, we return to Atlanta. You file for divorce and claim everything you're entitled to. My report will serve as evidence of infidelity. And where will we live? Grandpa Paul invited us to Germany. He moved there 6 months ago at the invitation of his old friend Frederick Zimmerman, a widowed engineer at BMW. Grandpa says he's very honorable, Simone reflected. She remembered her father's stories of moving to Germany. Frederick had suggested Munich and consulting for German IT companies. You've thought of everything, Simone said, admiration in her voice. Grandpa didn't just teach me programming, Mom, Aaliyah replied. He taught me strategic planning, systems analysis, and long-term forecasting. This situation needs a comprehensive solution. Simone's phone rang. Ronnie's name flashed on the screen. Aaliyah glanced at her mother. Don't answer yet. Let him worry and reflect on his actions. Simone declined the call. A minute later, a text arrived. Sim, please listen to me. This isn't what it looks like. We can talk. Classic manipulative tactic, Aaliyah commented. It's never what it looks like when you're in bed with someone's sister. Simone smiled for the first time in hours. Her daughter was right. Another message arrived from Ronnie. Aaliyah, answer your father. We need to talk as a family. Aaliyah took the phone and typed quickly. Data collected. Analysis complete. Results will be published tomorrow at 8 a.m. Atlanta time. Respectfully, your daughter, analyst Aaliyah. Aaliyah, Simone exclaimed. What? I didn't lie. The results will really be published. Within minutes, Ronnie's phone was flooded with calls, but Aaliyah and Simone ignored them. Mom, go to sleep, Aaliyah said calmly. We have a very interesting day tomorrow, and I'll finalize the distribution system tonight. Simone lay down, unable to sleep. Her mind spun with thoughts of betrayal in the future. Next to her, Aaliyah typed quietly, preparing her technological justice. The tropical ocean roared outside, unnoticed. The next morning in Atlanta was gray and rainy. Ronnie woke in a hotel, too afraid to remain in the villa with Cararisa. She stayed in another hotel, and they agreed to meet later to discuss the crisis. At 7:30 a.m. Atlanta time, Aaliyah sat in Phuket in front of her laptop. The time has come, she whispered and pressed the button. The distribution launched. Lines of email addresses, delivery statuses, and message counters scrolled on the screen. The first batch went to Ronnie's colleagues and business partners. 247 addresses received a presentation titled Expertise Analysis of Covert Connections in a Business Environment. It included Atlanta maps with meeting points, temporal activity graphs, and statistical tables. 5 minutes later, a second batch went to Cararissa's acquaintances. 156 addresses received an expanded report with psychological analysis, sociometric data, and predictive models of behavior. At exactly 8 SA, the third wave began. Emails to family, friends, and relatives. 89 addresses received the full report based on 1,247 units of data collected from March 15th to July 12th. Each email included a professional, scientific signature, independent research of social connections using big data analysis, all raw data obtained from publicly accessible sources. Research conducted by A. Sterling, age 15, digital forensics enthusiast. The reaction was immediate. Ronnie, reading news on his tablet at breakfast, watched his phone flood with calls. His business partner Sean Garrett was first. Ronnie, did you see what your daughter sent? Check your email, prepare for a surprise. Ronnie opened the presentation. His daughter had exposed his infidelity with mathematical precision, using only publicly available information. The report was formatted like a real scientific paper. Abstract. Methodology, results, conclusions, and sources, even including research limitations and recommendations for further study. Responses poured in. A Georgia Tech professor wrote, "Impressive professionalism. This deserves to be published in a scientific journal." An old friend added, "Aaliyah is brilliant. But Ronnie, you should be ashamed. A neighbor commented, "Excellent work. I'll use this as a teaching example for students." In a panic, Ronnie called Carissa. She screamed hysterically, "Your daughter? But she's only 15. How did she do this?" "She learned from Grandpa Paul," Ronnie stammered. Carissa's email inbox flooded as well. Messages from friends, relatives, and colleagues expressed condemnation and astonishment. Her boss terminated her immediately. "Your behavior is incompatible with our company's image. Here's your final check." By evening, Aaliyah's presentation had gone viral. Social media, forums, and tech blogs discussed it, with the hashtag Digital Justice trending worldwide. Users marveled at her skills. 15 years old and already a digital analyst. This is how technology serves justice. Ronnie tried to hire IT consultants to refute the report, but they confirmed. The methodology is impeccable, the data verifiable, the statistics irrefutable. This work is at a PhD level. By day's end, national news covered the story. Experts confirmed Aaliyah's work as an outstanding example of applying digital forensics to domestic situations. A calm voice echoed through Ronnie's phone. "Dad, I conducted a scientific investigation and shared the results. You and Aunt Carissa betrayed Mom, me, and our family. Now society knows, based on objective data." There's nothing to explain. Numbers don't lie. Facts speak for themselves. Mom and I fly back to Atlanta tomorrow. We'll see you in court, where my analysis will serve as evidence. Biological relation does not cancel moral responsibility. Goodbye, Mr. Sterling. She hung up, leaving her father in despair. 2 days later, Simone returned to Atlanta feeling like she was in a different world. Aaliyah's digital exposé had become a global story. Journalists awaited them at ATL, photographing Aaliyah with her laptop. The image became a symbol of the new generation of child prodigies using technology to defend justice. Reporters asked Aaliyah, "How did you learn such complex data analysis?" "My grandpa, Paul Daniels, taught me the fundamentals," she replied calmly. "But the main thing is the desire to find the truth. Technology must serve justice." Simone immediately contacted a lawyer. Elaine Wallace, a family law specialist with 20 years of experience, agreed to represent her after reviewing the Sterling case. "You have a unique situation," Elaine said, studying Aaliyah's presentation carefully. "Your husband's infidelity is proven using methods typically employed in corporate and scientific investigations. This data analysis can serve as material evidence in court. And Aaliyah?" Simone asked. She collected information about people legally, analyzed publicly available data using her own programs and scientific methods. Absolutely legal, and her work has already received expert recognition. A professor from Georgia Tech's Cybernetics Institute even suggested including her case in the curriculum. The story of the Sterling family spread far beyond Atlanta. Aaliyah became celebrated as a brilliant young researcher, a symbol of the digital generation, and a pioneer in data science. Memes featuring her image circulated online with captions like, "Don't mess with a programmer's granddaughter," and "Big data for family values." Major technical universities invited Aaliyah to summer science programs. MIT offered her a spot in a special program for gifted children. Most importantly, the story demonstrated how modern technology could restore justice in personal relationships. Ronnie tried to contact his wife and daughter, but they refused. His business collapsed as clients canceled services and partners broke contracts. His reputation was destroyed, not by gossip, but by scientifically verified facts. Former clients wrote reviews. "How can we trust a man who destroyed his own family to build a family home?" Many admired Aaliyah's skills while condemning Ronnie's actions. "Aaliyah is America's pride, but the father..." Comments like this appeared everywhere. Carissa faced an even harsher reality. Fired from her job, she could not secure new employment. Her infidelity, confirmed by digital analysis, was widely known. HR managers recognized her from the presentation photo, rejecting her applications. "Our company values its image. We cannot hire someone with that reputation." Friends drifted away, relatives condemned her, and her social media was scrutinized for further evidence supporting Alia's conclusions. The most difficult confrontation was at home. A week after returning from Phuket, Valerie, the girl's grandmother, called both daughters to her small apartment. "How could you do this to Sim?" she cried. "And Cararissa, how dare you betray your sister?" Cararissa sat with her head down, silent. Simone held herself with dignity. "Mom, I am not to blame. They betrayed me," Simone said calmly. "But the scandal is nationwide. Alia exposed her father to the world. She simply analyzed public information and presented facts," Simone continued firmly. "I am grateful to her. Better to know a bitter truth than live a sweet lie. And now?" Valerie asked. "How will you live?" "We'll start a new life, Mom. An honest life," Simone replied. Valerie turned to Cararissa. "And you?" Tears filled Cararissa's eyes. "I don't know how it happened. Ronnie convinced me he didn't love Sim, that we only lived together for Alia. I believed him. I was so foolish." "You're not foolish," Simone said. "You're young and inexperienced. Ronnie misled you, but that doesn't excuse the betrayal." Meanwhile, Ronnie moved between lawyers, trying to salvage the situation. Yet Alia had broken no laws, and her methods were so professional that several firms approached her for collaboration. "Your daughter is a phenomenon," one top Atlanta lawyer said. "Her investigation rivals international detective agencies. Her conclusions are irrefutable." Cararissa also consulted lawyers, but the response was the same. Experts confirmed Alia's work could serve as a thesis in digital forensics. Media coverage continued. Journalists highlighted the new generation of tech-savvy youth defending justice and how modern technology is reshaping approaches to family conflict. Alia was invited to television shows, but she declined. "I'm not seeking fame," she wrote in a statement. "My goal was to restore justice for Mom. That has been achieved. Now we want to live peacefully." Ronnie and Cararissa became social pariahs in their circles. In public, they were openly pointed out. Salespeople recognized them from Alia's presentation photo. Old acquaintances crossed the street to avoid them. One particularly comical incident occurred at Gold's gym, where Ronnie had worked out for 5 years. When the trainer saw him, he announced to the entire gym, "Attention! A real celebrity is here today, Ronnie Sterling, whose infidelity was proven by his genius daughter using big data analysis. Let's give him an ovation for his involuntary contribution to digital science." The gym erupted in laughter and applause. Someone shouted, "Where's your daughter?" "We want to meet the young genius." Ronnie fled amid the mocking comments and never returned. Cararissa faced a similar humiliation at Aura Salon, a place where she had been a regular client. The manicurist recognized her and loudly told colleagues, "Girls, look, this is Cararissa, the heroine of her niece's scientific investigation. Maybe we should all study data analysis to check our clients for family scandals." Salon visitors stared at her like a museum exhibit. Several women whispered, "Yes, that's her. I saw her in that presentation. How could she betray her sister? But that little girl is brilliant, a real detective." Cararissa left the salon immediately and never returned. The public condemnation was painful, but the most severe impact was on Ronnie and Cararissa's relationship. Under the stress of the scandal and the collapse of their routine lives, they began blaming each other. "This was all your idea," Cararissa yelled during one argument. "You suggested going to Phuket. You said everything would be secret. And who agreed?" Ronnie shot back. "Who was the first to flirt on social media, leaving those comments that Alia analyzed? You said you didn't love Sim and that her correctness annoyed you. We promised to be careful, and we were, but who could have known that a 15-year-old would become a digital forensics specialist?" Their affair, built on betrayal and lies, couldn't survive the first serious test. They realized they never truly loved each other. Their connection was fueled only by the adrenaline of secrecy and the novelty of forbidden feelings. Once those illusions collapsed, there was nothing left between them. Ronnie blamed Cararissa for his business losses, and Cararissa blamed him for the destruction of her reputation. A month after returning from Phuket, they ceased communication. Ronnie focused on salvaging his business, and Cararissa sought employment in cities where she was unknown. Yet the internet never forgets. Alia's presentation became a case study in digital forensics, cited in universities, scientific papers, and ethics courses. The Sterling family story entered textbooks as an example of how modern technology redefines privacy and justice. Divorce proceedings began a month after their return. The process was swift and legally fair. Judge Linda Castro of Fulton County Superior Court studied all case materials, including Alia's famous presentation. "This is one of the most unusual cases in my practice," she declared at the first hearing. Infidelity proven using methods typically applied in scientific investigations. The research relies solely on publicly available information and is admissible in court. Everything was against Ronnie. His lawyer attempted to challenge Alia's methodology, but expert opinions confirmed its integrity. Considering the evidence, Judge Castro ruled Simone would receive half of the jointly acquired property, including the downtown Atlanta apartment, the Sandy Springs house, and 50% of shares in Sterling and Associates Construction Company, plus child support for Alia. Ronnie sat gloomy and dejected. In 3 months, he had transformed from a successful entrepreneur into a social outcast, having lost both family and fortune. After the hearing, he tried to approach Alia in the courthouse hallway. "Alia, can I talk to you?" The girl, now more mature and self-assured, looked at him with the calm, inquisitive gaze of a researcher. "We have nothing to discuss, Mr. Sterling. But I can fix this. You didn't just mess up. You committed a systemic error that destroyed the family. You betrayed your mother and forced me, at 15, into digital forensics instead of studying for exams. Some systems cannot be restored after total failure," Alia replied coldly, using the language of computing. "Trust is a database that cannot be recovered once it's fully corrupted." Simone took her daughter's hand. "Let's go, Alia. We need to gather the documents and prepare for our new life." Together they walked away, leaving Ronnie alone in the courthouse hallway, the same hallway where he had once felt confident and successful. That same evening, Simone spoke with her father in Germany. "Dad, the divorce is final. We're ready to move," she said. "Wonderful, honey," Paul replied happily from his home outside Munich. "Frederick is looking forward to meeting you both. He's prepared separate rooms for you and has arranged an internship for Alia at the BMW Research Center. He believes talents like hers should be nurtured in the best European environment," Simone smiled. In recent months, she had thought a lot about the future. Starting over at 38 in another country was daunting, but also exciting, especially now that she had the means for a comfortable new life. Frederick Zimmerman, her father's old friend, was a widower in his 50s and principal security engineer at BMW. According to Paul, he was kind, honorable, and deeply interested in Spanish culture and literature. Fluent in Spanish, he read the classics and studied the history of Spain. "Alia, you don't mind the move?" Simone asked. "Mom, after everything that happened, I have nothing left here. At school, on the street, even in stores, everyone knows our story. Some admire my tech skills, others blame me for exposing the family. It's better to start fresh somewhere that values a scientific approach to life." "And your research?" Simone prompted. Alia's eyes lit up. "This is just the beginning. Grandpa promised to introduce me to leading data specialists in Germany. The culture of scientific research is very advanced there. I'll study machine learning, artificial intelligence, and ethical algorithm development. Maybe I'll become a real scientist and help solve complex problems." Simone hugged her daughter. At such a young age, Alia had demonstrated analytical strength and strategic thinking far beyond many adult specialists. The sale of their Atlanta properties took a month. The downtown apartment sold for $40 million. The Sandy Springs house brought another $20 million, and the business partner bought her share for $35 million. In total, Simone secured a sum that guaranteed a prosperous life in Germany and a top-tier education for Alia. Ronnie tried to contact them before their departure, but Simone had changed her phone number and blocked all his accounts. She would no longer hear excuses or promises. Cararissa also reached out through mutual acquaintances, begging for forgiveness, but Simone remained firm. Forgiving her sister's betrayal was even harder than her husband's infidelity. Mom, do you think we're doing the right thing? Aaliyah asked on their last night in Atlanta, sitting among their packed suitcases. You know, honey, sometimes you have to have the courage to completely change your life. Your grandpa always said, life is too short to waste on people who don't value you. And you don't regret that I published the analysis? Aaliyah asked. Simone reflected. At first, I was shocked by the scale of the consequences. But later I realized, if it weren't for you, I might have lived years longer in deceit. You saved me from a false life using your mind and modern technology. Grandpa always said the most important thing in science is honesty and objectivity. If the data shows a problem, you don't ignore it, you solve it. And you solved ours. I identified a hidden error in the system and eliminated it, Aaliyah said seriously. Now we can live in a system based on honest data, Simone laughed softly. Her daughter always found precise, technical analogies for life. That night, they barely slept. Simone reviewed photos, documents, and cherished belongings, preparing for a fresh start as the first light of a new life in Germany approached. 18 years of shared life now fit into a few boxes. Everything else belonged to the past. Aaliyah worked diligently at her computer, preparing a new research project for her German university. Imagine, Mom, she said, eyes sparkling. We can create an algorithm that analyzes people's compatibility before marriage, not to spy, but to help partners understand each other better. If couples know their differences in values, goals, and interests ahead of time, they can make conscious decisions. It was an ethical approach to data analysis, not an invasion of privacy, and for Aaliyah, it was the start of a new mission. At Atlanta Airport, they didn't look back. Ronnie hadn't tried to stop them. Ahead lay a new life in Germany with her grandfather Paul and his friend Frederick. Behind them remained betrayal, heartbreak, shattered illusions, and the triumph of justice achieved with science and technology. The plane touched down at Munich Airport on a sunny September morning. Simone gazed out at the orderly fields, clean highways, and pristine cities, thinking, this is where our new life begins. Paul met them in arrivals with a broad smile and a bouquet of flowers. Beside him stood a tall man in his 50s with kind blue eyes, a neatly trimmed gray beard, and a welcoming smile. Simone, Aaliyah, welcome to Germany, Paul said, hugging them both. And this is Frederick Zimmerman, my best friend. And now your friend, too. Frederick kissed Simone's hand gallantly and gave Aaliyah a warm, fatherly hug. Welcome to our home, he said in good Spanish with a slight German accent. I've been looking forward to meeting Paul's family, especially the young genius everyone already knows about. Aaliyah blinked in surprise. Everyone? Yes, honey, Paul said. Your work is being cited in German scientific journals. Students at technical universities study it. You're famous. Their new home in Bogenhausen was a traditional Bavarian 2-story house with white walls, wooden balconies, and a red-tiled roof. The garden was immaculate, with apple trees, roses, and neat vegetable beds. This is our house, Paul said. Frederick graciously agreed for all of us to live here together. He's lived alone since his wife passed. It's too big for one person. Aaliyah's room was a dream for a young scientist. Spacious, with a garden view. Equipped like a professional research lab, dual monitors, tablets, and advanced tools for data analysis and machine learning. Grandpa, this is a whole scientific station, she exclaimed. Frederick smiled. A talent like yours needs the best conditions. I've also arranged a part-time internship at the BMW Research Center, so you can work on real projects without affecting your studies. Simone's room overlooked the Alps foothills, tastefully furnished with antique furniture and Bavarian landscape paintings. Is this temporary? She asked. This is your home, Simone, Frederick replied seriously. For as long as you want. Paul told me what you went through. You deserve peace and happiness. The first weeks passed like a dream. Simone enrolled in intensive German courses, impressing her teacher with her intellect. She also learned about local customs, traditions, and laws. Frederick patiently guided her, introducing neighbors and explaining the value Germans place on order, punctuality, and honesty. perfect foundations for rebuilding a stable life. Aaliyah immersed herself in advanced technology, learning from her grandfather and local specialists. Dr. Klaus Weber, head of BMW's AI department, marveled at her skill. "You're working at the level of our best PhD candidates. This is incredible." "My first project taught me what power data holds," Aaliyah replied. "That power must be used for good." Evenings, Frederick and Simone would stroll in the garden or sit on the terrace with tea, sharing stories and experiences. Gradually, Simone realized Frederick was more than a guide. He was intelligent, kind, cultured, and humorous. "Simone," he said one evening as the sun set over the Alps, "I'd like to invite you to dinner." "Just the two of us," Simone hesitated. After the divorce, she wasn't ready for romance. Frederick smiled gently. "Just as friends. No obligations. I enjoy your company and want to get to know you better." The dinner at a cozy Bavarian restaurant was delightful. Frederick spoke of car safety systems, autonomous vehicles, and technology's impact on the world. Simone shared stories of Atlanta, her past life, and her hopes for the future. "Do you miss your wife?" Simone asked carefully, curious about the man who had welcomed them so warmly. "I do miss her," Frederick admitted quietly. "Greta was a wonderful woman. We were together for 22 years before she passed away from cancer 3 years ago. But I've learned that life goes on. Greta wouldn't have wanted me to drown in grief." "How did you cope with the loss?" Simone asked softly. "Work helped," he said, smiling faintly. "And friends, especially your father. Paul spoke often about you and Aaliyah. His stories about your family reminded me how vital love and connection are. Loneliness isn't the answer." Meanwhile, news reached them from America through the monitoring programs Aaliyah followed. Ronnie was finally ruined. Without his major clients, his construction company went bankrupt 6 months after the scandal. He sold what little he had left, paid off debts, and moved to Jacksonville, Florida, taking a job as an ordinary construction foreman. His reputation had followed him. No one in Atlanta would hire him. Cararissa also fled the city, settling in a small town near Savannah, Georgia. She found work as a sales clerk in an electronics store, renting a modest apartment on the outskirts and trying to erase the past. But the internet doesn't forget. From time to time, new acquaintances recognized her from that infamous presentation, still used as a cautionary case study in business ethics courses. "Mom, don't you pity them?" Aaliyah asked one evening over dinner. "You know, honey," Simone said thoughtfully, "I pity them as people who made mistakes. But they chose their path. Every action has consequences. Grandpa says there's a rule in programming," Aaliyah added. "Garbage in, garbage out. If you feed lies and betrayal into a system, you'll get bad results." "Exactly." Simone nodded. "They received the logical outcome of the justice algorithm," Frederick smiled. "Aaliyah, you reason like a philosopher." By the end of their first year in Germany, Simone spoke fluent German, obtained her residence permit, and began working as a translator for a major tourism company. She guided Spanish-speaking travelers through Bavaria, translated documents, and organized cultural programs. The job was lively and rewarding. She toured King Ludwig VI's castles, visited breweries, and introduced tourists to Munich's history. Her colleagues respected her. Her director, Herr Bowman, often said, "Simone brings us so many new clients." Spanish tourists trust her. They feel at home with her. Frederick became her closest friend and guide in this new world. He helped her navigate bureaucracy, explained the nuances of German life, and shared Bavarian traditions. On weekends, they went on excursions to Neuschwanstein, Lake Chiemsee, or the Alps. One evening, after a trip to Salzburg, they sat in the garden beneath a sky full of stars. Frederick turned to her, his voice calm but earnest. "Simone, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" she asked. "I've fallen in love with you. I know it's too soon to speak of this, but I can't hide it any longer." Simone felt her heart race. She had grown fond of this gentle, sincere man who had filled her life with kindness and warmth. "Don't answer now," Frederick continued softly. "I'll wait as long as it takes. You've endured so much. You deserve peace and time to heal." "And Greta?" Simone whispered. Greta was a beautiful part of my past, he said with quiet conviction. But you are my present, and I hope my future. That night Simone couldn't sleep. For the first time in many months, she wasn't thinking about old wounds, but about the possibility of new happiness. Another year passed. Aliyah became a true expert in ethical data analysis and machine learning. At 16, she was already contributing to major research projects, earning grants from European foundations, and speaking at international conferences. "Mom," she said one morning over breakfast, her eyes shining. "I've been offered an internship at Stanford University. They're building a lab for ethical artificial intelligence. It's one of the best technical universities in the world." Simone's face lit up. "That's incredible, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. You know what's even more interesting?" Aliyah added with a grin. "They're studying my story with Dad as a classic case of responsible technology use. Professor Mueller once said, 'I showed how data analysis can restore justice without violating laws or ethical principles.' And a journalist contacted me," Aliyah continued. "He wants to do a big report on how teenagers are using technology to solve family problems. He says such stories are becoming more common." "And what did you say?" Simone asked. "That I'm ready to give an interview," Aliyah replied. "But only if the material focuses on the ethical application of technology, not the sensational details of our family drama." Simone smiled, amazed by her daughter's wisdom. At just 19, Aliyah reasoned like an experienced scientist, fully aware of the responsibility that came with her knowledge. Meanwhile, Simone's relationship with Frederick developed slowly and gently. He never rushed her, never pressured her. He was simply reliable, understanding, and caring. Gradually, Simone realized she had fallen in love with this patient and noble man. The decisive moment came one winter when Simone caught the flu. Frederick looked after her with such tenderness and care that she finally understood. This was true love, built on mutual respect and understanding. "Dad," Simone told Paul one evening as they sat in his office, "I'm thinking of marrying Frederick." Paul's eyes lit up. "Daughter, that's all I ever hoped for. Frederick is a wonderful man. He will cherish you, and most importantly, he understands honesty in relationships. How will Aliyah react? Ask her yourself," Simone laughed. "But she'll be happy." The conversation with her daughter was easy and natural. "Mom, I'm so happy," Aliyah said, hugging her. "Frederick is kind, smart, honest, and he loves you. You don't object?" "On the contrary," Simone smiled. "I get a stepfather who will never betray me, who understands science and ethics, and with whom I can discuss complex AI topics at family dinner." "I don't miss America. Home isn't a place on the map. It's the people who love and understand you. Here we have Grandpa, Frederick, and opportunities to grow. This is our home." Frederick proposed on the second anniversary of their life in Germany. He took Simone to a small 17th-century church perched on an alpine slope, offering a breathtaking view of the valley. "Simone," he said, standing before the altar, "you changed my life. You taught me that I can love and be happy again. Will you be my wife?" The ring was simple and elegant, white gold with a small diamond. Simone cried tears of happiness. The wedding was modest but warm, held in their garden in May. Only the closest people attended: Paul, Aliyah, a few of Frederick's friends, and Simone's colleagues. Aliyah gave a toast that surprised everyone. "Mom and Frederick, your love is proof that after a systemic failure, you can create a better life program. Honesty and trust are the foundation of any stable relationship." The newlyweds honeymooned in Italy, Venice, Rome, Florence. Simone experienced the joy of being loved for who she truly was, without pretense. "Thank you for showing me what true love should be," Frederick said one evening on the Rialto Bridge. "You taught me to open my heart again," Simone replied. "After Greta's death, I thought I could never love again. But you and Aliyah brought my faith and family back." News from America continued sporadically. Ronnie moved from city to city, but his reputation preceded him. Cararisa lived quietly in a small town, working with children at a community center, trying to live honestly. She reached out to Simone, but Simone didn't reply. One autumn evening, Aaliyah approached her mother with a surprising suggestion. "Mom, aren't you going to forgive Aunt Carissa?" "Why?" Simone asked. "Look at us, we're happy. We have a wonderful family and interesting work. You married an amazing man. Maybe it's worth letting go of old grudges," Simone reflected. Indeed. Why waste energy on anger when life had turned out so well? "And Dad?" Aaliyah asked. "No," she said firmly. Aunt Carissa was young and misled, but Dad was the head of the family. His betrayal was a systemic error. It cannot be undone. A few days later, Simone sent a short letter to Carissa. "Carissa, I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to spend more energy on negativity. I hope you find happiness and learn to live honestly. Love, Sim. Carissa replied a week later with a long, remorseful letter, vowing to live truthfully and make amends. "Do you think she really changed?" Aaliyah asked. "I don't know," Simone admitted. "But I have more important tasks: family, work, happiness, focusing on the right things." "Agreed," Aaliyah said. Frederick listened, amused and warmed by their scientific approach to even emotional matters. Aaliyah finished high school and enrolled at the Technical University of Munich, specializing in ethical AI. By 18, she was an international expert on responsible data analysis, advising European projects on AI ethics. "Mom," she said one morning, "I've been offered a partnership in a European initiative to create standards for ethical AI in social research." Simone smiled. "Age is just a number. Experience and understanding of consequences matter more," Aaliyah replied. "And I have a case study that's being studied in universities across Europe." Meanwhile, Frederick advanced at BMW, heading development for autonomous vehicle security systems, often consulting Aaliyah on ethical AI applications. "Your daughter is brilliant," Frederick told Simone one evening. "At her age, I only dreamed of entering university, and she's already advising major corporations." Simone worried. "Don't worry," Frederick reassured her. "Aaliyah has a healthy relationship with fame. Yesterday, she explained to a journalist that her goal isn't fame, but creating technologies that make the world more just and honest. Life settled into peace and happiness." Simone worked in tourism, traveled across Europe with Frederick, and immersed herself in German culture. Weekends were spent at alpine lakes, museums, and theaters. Frederick introduced Simone to German opera, and she introduced him to Spanish literature. They read Cervantes and Lorca aloud, discussing differences in mentality and culture. One evening, Aaliyah shared an idea. "Mom, Frederick," she said during dinner, "I want to create a platform to strengthen family relationships using technology. Not for spying, but for better mutual understanding." "What do you have in mind?" Simone asked. "An app," Aaliyah explained, "where couples fill out surveys about their values, plans, and dreams. The algorithm analyzes compatibility and gives recommendations. For example, it can highlight differences in financial planning or parenting styles, so partners can discuss issues before conflict arises." "And privacy?" Frederick asked, ever the engineer. "All data stays on users' devices. Algorithms are fully transparent. No personal info is sent to servers," Aaliyah said. "Interesting," Frederick said. "A digital family psychologist." "Science-based and accessible to everyone," Aaliyah replied. "Not just for those who can afford specialists." The idea became her university thesis. Then, news from America arrived. Ronnie contacted Paul on social media, asking to meet his daughter, claiming he had changed and wanted to apologize. Simone asked, "And what did she say?" Aaliyah took her time. At 19, she was a young adult capable of making independent decisions. Finally, she said, "I'll meet him, but not to forgive or resume relations. I want the complete data picture to close this case for my research." "What data?" Simone asked. "I want to study whether people can truly learn from their mistakes. It's essential for my research on human behavior under the influence of technology." The meeting was scheduled at a neutral cafe in downtown Munich. Ronnie flew from America specifically for the conversation. Simone and Frederick accompanied Aaliyah to the cafe but stayed outside. "I'll see you in an hour," Aaliyah said. "That's enough time," Ronnie had changed. Gray hair framed his face, weight lost, deep wrinkles marking years of stress and regret. He wore simple clothes, jeans, a shirt, a jacket. Looking like a man who had endured serious life lessons, Aaliyah arrived punctually. Seeing her father, she felt neither pity nor joy, only the calm professional interest of a researcher analyzing her subject. Ronnie stood to greet her. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "Sit down, Dad," she said, taking out her tablet and recorder. "I have a few questions to complete my long-term investigation." Ronnie hesitated. The confident adult before him was no longer the 15-year-old girl he had known. She was a scientist ready for an interview. "I wanted to apologize," he began. "I know I acted horribly. I'm sorry." "For what, specifically?" Aaliyah interrupted, typing notes. "For infidelity to your mother? For betraying family values? For forcing me at 15 to take up digital forensics?" Ronnie fell silent. "Do you understand the influence your actions had on the entire family system?" she continued, her tone professional. "Mom experienced severe stress, and I was forced into adult decisions prematurely." "Yes, I understand all that," he said quietly. Aaliyah turned on the recorder. "Describe your understanding of the situation." "I destroyed the most important thing in my life, my family. Out of stupidity, weakness, and selfishness, I lost you. I lost Simone. I lost the right to call myself a father. What conclusions have you drawn over these years?" she asked. "That honesty is the foundation of everything," he replied. "That you cannot deceive loved ones. That every action has consequences that can destroy many lives." She wrote down his answers, occasionally asking clarifying questions. "How has your life changed since the publication of my analysis?" "I lost everything. Business, house, reputation, friends. I had to start over in another city. I work as a foreman now, but I deserved it." "Your analysis was fair? I'm not angry at you. On the contrary, I'm grateful. You showed me the truth. Yes, it was painful, but you defended your mother with your mind and knowledge." "And your relationship with Carissa?" "We stopped communicating. We realized we weren't united by love, only by illusion. Once deceit was exposed, there was nothing left to say to each other." "Last question," Aaliyah said, looking at him intently. "What do you want from this meeting?" "I want you to know I'm proud of you, for who you became, for what you achieved, and how you use your skills. I failed as a father, and I don't deserve forgiveness. I just want you to be happy and know your work has changed not only our family, but others too." "Your example helps people." Aaliyah turned off the recorder. "Data collected. Analysis complete," she said. "And the conclusion? People are capable of learning from their mistakes when consequences are serious enough. Your case confirms that technology can educate and influence behavior." She stood, moving toward the exit. "Mr. Sterling, live honestly? That's the only way to build normal relationships." "Aaliyah," he called softly. "Yes? Thank you for the lesson. It was tough but fair." Aaliyah nodded and left, leaving Ronnie alone. Realizing he had lost his daughter forever, but had helped make her stronger. Outside, Simone and Frederick were waiting. "How was the meeting?" her mother asked. "Productive," Aaliyah replied. "I confirmed my hypothesis. Serious consequences can change behavior. Dad truly understood his mistakes." "And how do you feel?" Simone asked. "This case no longer requires investigation," Aaliyah said. A year later, Aaliyah graduated with honors from the Technical University of Munich. Her final project, Ethical Technologies for Strengthening Family Relationships, caused a sensation. Large tech companies offered her positions, but she chose to work at the European Institute of Digital Ethics. "Mom," she told Simone on her graduation day, "now I understand why all of this happened years ago." "You mean Dad's betrayal? The analysis, the move, meeting Frederick?" Simone asked. "Yes," Aaliyah said. "It was a sequence of events that led us to the correct family system configuration." Simone hugged her daughter. Aaliyah had grown into a brilliant, strong, principled woman capable of turning life's challenges into knowledge and strength. Frederick, proud as a father, helped her secure top internships and introduced her to leading AI specialists. "Your daughter truly changed the world," Frederick told Simone. Her technology is helping thousands of families build honest relationships. She taught people that in the age of big data, honesty isn't just moral, it's practical, Simone added. Her compatibility analysis system is now used in several European countries for premarital preparation programs. People voluntarily use it to prevent conflicts. Carissa sent Aaliyah a congratulatory card, expressing pride in her niece and acknowledging the lesson her niece had taught her. She had changed, working at a children's center, helping troubled teenagers, and living honestly. Ronnie lived modestly in Jacksonville, working at a construction company. The story of the technological exposé followed him, but he no longer complained. He accepted the consequences and lived honestly. On her 20th birthday, Aaliyah announced major news. She had been offered the position to head a new ethical AI laboratory in Zurich, a collaboration between universities in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. "I'm ready, Mom," she said. "Everything that happened prepared me for this. I'll research how AI can strengthen families, prevent conflicts, and support honesty in relationships." Simone looked at her daughter with pride. Aaliyah had become an outstanding scientist, yet remained kind and ethical. "And the most important thing about our story?" Aaliyah asked. "What?" Simone replied. "That we didn't become bitter. We applied a scientific approach to restore justice, but we didn't lose the capacity to love and trust." "You married Frederick." "I found my calling. We built a new family based on honesty and mutual respect." Simone hugged her daughter and husband. Their family was truly happy. Far away in America, Ronnie and Carissa lived with the consequences of their decisions, but with the chance to start anew. Justice had triumphed through science and technology, and that was right.